Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to TruAbutment's TruSuite Webinar. And we're going to get started now before it gets too late. I know it's Friday afternoon. Thanks for joining again. And my name is Katie. I am the marketing manager here at TruAbutment, and I'll be facilitating this webinar throughout the session today. All right, here is the agenda. We're going to just quickly introduce you to our newest product, ioConnect, and then we're going to jump into the Pylon lecture for surgical guide planning. And then a quick break is going to happen with the Q&A session. If any of you guys have to catch up or ask specific questions to the instructor, then we're going to move on to Trust for custom abutment and crown designing. And then we will just go ahead and wrap up the session with another Q&A session. All right. So this is the newest product that we launched last month called ioConnect. It is a uniquely shaped full body scan body for edentulous scanning. And we offer 3 different lengths in this kit: short, medium, long, with the scan caps here for the gingival scan data capture. And then Josh here is going to quickly show you a live scan demo with the Medit scanner here we have in-house. And just the hexagon part of the scan bodies. The less you scan, the more accurate it will be. Like that. And that's all it takes. Oh, we're going to show you one more time. I'm sorry. And the key is that you don't want these scan bodies overlapping, especially on the hexagons. And yeah, we just want it as closely placed as possible to each other. And currently we have the kits available compatible with the Nobel's multi-unit connection, as well as our own implants for the Urus. And another benefit for you guys to note is we provide a free pack of 20 direct screws with every purchase of the ioConnect. All right. And so here I'm going to toss it to Josh, who's going to go, Avril, who's going to go ahead and review the full Pylon workflow to design your surgical guides.
Hello everyone, my name is Avril and I design the surgical guide cases here at TruAbutment. And today I'm going to demonstrate how to digitally plan fully guided surgery and the surgical guide design using the Pylon software. All right, so let me show you the Pylon software. Right here. All right, so this is the main page of the Pylon. So in this main page, we can search the cases, the previous cases by the patient's name. And we can also search the cases by the date by clicking this calendar icon on top. And by clicking this configuration icon, we can change a few settings here. So I'm going to click this options, common tab. And in this common tab, we can change a language and also the tooth numbering system. Since we are all in the United States, let me change it to the universal numbering system. And let's go back to the main page. All right, so in this main page, I'm going to click this patient's icon to create a new patient's folder. So let's say the patient's first name is True and the last name, let's say it's Webinar. And click this OK button. And now we have this patient's folder ready. So good thing about this Pylon software is that we can create a patient's folder, which means we can create new cases under the same folder and keep track of this patient and also track the history of the patient later on. All right, so I'm going to click this new case button to create a new case. And this is a case setup page. And on top of the screen, we have this taskbar. So this taskbar shows you the current step and what the next step is. So in order to proceed to the next step, we have to complete the current step first. And on the left side of the screen, we have a few different options here. So first, we have TruSuite, edentulous, model-based, and CT to STL conversion. So for TruSuite surgical guide, if your patient has remaining teeth and if you have intraoral scan and the CBCT scan for the patient, we can create a TruSuite surgical guide using the step. And if your patient is missing all teeth and has a full denture, then we can create a tissue-supported surgical guide using this step. And please remember, this step requires a both CT scan of the patient and CT scan of the denture itself, basically a dual scan protocol. And for the model base, we can create a model base out of the intraoral scan data. But please remember, this model base does not have any implant information in it. It's to check the seating of the surgical guide only. And we can also convert the icon file into an STL file for bone-supported surgical guide. But since we are designing a single implant today, let me go back to this tooth-supported surgical guide. And in this step, we are going to select the tooth number that we're going to work on, which is number 19 today. So let's click number 19. And click this crown. So we're going to use this crown for top-down implant planning, although it's not the final crown design. And click this implant planning, of course, and the surgical guide as well. And now we can see that the next step is enabled. Right, so let's click this next step, data registration. In this step, we can import the scan data, the CBCT and the intraoral scan data here. So let's click the CT scan data. And when you export the CT scan and save it into your computer, there are a series of different folders. So keep clicking those folders until you find the CT scan. So keep clicking. And there it is. Usually the CT scan, the DICOM file, they are in the CT3 folder. And let's double click in. And as you can see, the DICOM file comes in 100 of different slices. So you can double click any of the slices to import the full scan data. And currently the Pylon software does not support a single DICOM file. So make sure you have a multi-layered DICOM file when you export the scan. There it is. And let's also import the intraoral scan data. Upper scan. And the lower scan as well. Right, there it is. And before we move on to the next step, let's double check if it is a right scan for the patient. So you can zoom in and out using your mouse wheel, like this. And hold your mouse wheel to move the scan around. And hold your right click and drag it to rotate the scan data. So the data is missing number 19 and also the intraoral scan. All right, so let's move on to the next step, which is data setting or the cropping step. So in this cropping step, we can crop any unnecessary data to decrease the size of the scan for a faster workflow. If you do not wish to crop any of the data, you can just proceed to the next step. But for me, I am designing a bunch of different cases daily. I always try to crop the data to decrease the size. We can look through the scan using the scroll bar on the right side. And simply click and drag this red control point to crop the data. This. And also double check this chroma view as well. Okay. All right, and let's move on to the next, which is a panoramic curve. So the designing software like this, the axial view is the only view we can see without the curve. So in order to visualize this panel orthogonal and tangential view, we have to draw the curve using this axial view. So the software can detect where the bone is and visualize this panel orthogonal and tangential view as well for the implant planning. All right, so I'm going to grab this control point and drag it to locate this plane at the root portion right here. And start drawing the curve on this axial view. Simple left clicks to draw the curve. And this curve doesn't need to be super accurate on this axial view because we're going to adjust the curve after the drawing. And double click to finish your drawing. And using this control points, we can adjust the curve. Like this. And we can also adjust the size of the panel view right here. Now we have this beautiful panel orthogonal and tangential view ready for the planning. Yeah, hold your right click and drag it up and down to zoom in and out each view to double check. All right. And the next step is going to be the nerve definition. Since we are placing an implant on the lower arch, we have to define the nerve location so we would prevent damaging it when we place a fixture. And we are working on the left side. I'm going to move all the way to the left. And I'm going to find the nerve location using this tangential view. I'm going to look through the scan using the mouse wheel. And it is very clear. We can see the nerve location right here. And I'm going to draw the nerve on this tangential view, simply left clicks. And please remember also on this tangential view, you don't need to be super accurate on this nerve location because we're going to adjust the nerve on this orthogonal view as well. All right. And on this orthogonal view, it seems like the patient's nerve is slightly larger. Then we can also adjust the thickness of the nerve using this thickness tool on top. Like this. Then simply click and drag it to adjust the location. But please remember when you're adjusting the nerve, you have to see these pink control points. Otherwise, you're going to just draw the nerve on top like this. So let's just undo it. And make sure you see this pink control point. And adjust the nerve location. All the way to the anterior until we find the mental foramen. Yes. And you're almost there. And there it is, the mental foramen. All right, and we can also double check the nerve location using this 3D view on top. And with the tangential view. All right, and once you have confirmed the nerve location, let's move on to the next step, which is the alignment step. So the Pylon software provides the auto merging function, as you can see on the top, but I always use this 3-point alignment for accuracy. So the data on the right side is a CBCT scan, and on the left side is an intraoral scan data. I'm going to mark some distinctive area on each scan, and the software will automatically merge the scans together. Right, so I'm going to mark this second molar. Same for the internal scan. And one at the anterior. and on the intraoral scan as well. Lastly, I'm going to mark the second the second premolar. And we have the alignment result right here. And this color bar shows you the deviation. So green means there's no deviation and red means there is a huge deviation. It is normal to have red on the gingiva because the CT scan does not have any gingival information. But since all teeth are green, we can just proceed to the next step, which is a manual alignment step. So in this manual alignment, we can clearly see how the alignment looks like. We can look through the scan using the scroll bar. And in this step, we can manually adjust and move the scan using your keypad from side to side and up and down as well. We can also rotate the scan data using this rotation tool. We can double click to relocate this tool. And using this arrow, we can rotate the scan data like this. Okay. This looks good to me. Okay, so we just finished this alignment step, and the next step is going to be the virtual extraction. So in this step, we can virtually extract a tooth if you are planning an immediate placement case. But since this patient is already missing a tooth, we can just proceed to the next step. But let me briefly show you how this function works. Right, so the first thing I would like to do is to set the insertion direction by clicking this eye icon on the left side of the screen. And this yellow arrow shows you the current insertion direction. And once we click this eye icon, the path is set perpendicular to the screen. Right, as you can see, we have set the path by clicking this icon. And click this add icon to draw the outline of the crown that we're going to extract. All the way. And click the first dot to finish your drawing. And now we have extracted the tooth. But since this patient is already missing a tooth, number 19, we can just cancel and proceed to the next, which is a crown design. And we can simply click and drag to move this around and rotate the crown using this red control points and resize it using this green control points as well. And you don't need to spend too much time on this crown design because we're going to use this crown for a reference only when we place a fixture. And if you want to design your final crown, then we can use a Trust software, which Josh will be covering after this Pylon demonstration. Okay. There it is. Okay. As I mentioned, you don't need to spend too much time on this crown design, and this looks good to me. And once you're done with the crown design, then we can proceed to the next, which is finally the implant placement step. So in here, I'm going to click the tooth number that we're working on right now, which is number 19, and click this TruAbutment. And now we see the bunch of different libraries here. I'm going to place Uris implant today, so Uris Pylon system, and click the sleeve. And Uris Omni implant, and now we can select the size of the fixture. I'm going to place 5.0 by 10 since it is a molar. And you don't need to worry about the sleeve and the abutment option here. But if you do not see the library for the implant system that you're currently using, we can also customize it by clicking this custom tool. And you can input the diameter of the fixture and the diameter of the sleeve information as well, and the offset information. And the software will show you exactly as you entered, as you can see it here. But since I am placing a Uris implant today, let me go back to the library. and select the fixture size and the sleeve as well. And I can close this window. And now we can see that the fixture is placed automatically based on the location of the crown. And on the right side of the screen, we have a bunch of different options to turn on and off. And we can also control the transparency of each data. As you can see it here. And I always turn off this abutment option off and turn on this axis and cylinder option on, so we can check the path of the fixture using this 3D view. And for the fixture placement, we can simply click and drag it to move this around and rotate the fixture using this red control point. Now it's too close to the buckle plate. Let me move it to the lingual and rotate the fixture. So when I try to place a fixture, I always place a fixture 3 to 4 millimeters below the gingival margin for a better emergence profile. And I'll always keep the screw channel in the center of the crown, so the biforce is straight down to the fixture, and the fixtures can last longer. All right, so let's make this window larger. And using your mouse wheel, we can have 360 view around the fixture, and we can also check the surroundings. This. And if you want to check the depth of the fixture, you can use this ruler measurement tool and simply click and drag it to measure the depth of the fixture. And the lingual side as well. So vocally we have 3.1 and lingually we have 3.5 millimeters. And if you want to take a screenshot, then just click this camera icon on top. And we can also leave a note here. So let's say number 19, vocal lingual measurements. And you can just close this window and the screenshot will be saved automatically. And we can also check this path of the fixture using this panel view. And let's also capture this image. And close the window. And also this axial view, how the fixture is placed. All the way to the apex of the fixture. There it is. All right, this looks good to me. And if you're done with the placement, the next step is going to be the surgical guide design. All right, so the first thing I would like to do is to adjust the size of the cylinder around the sleeve. And again, set the insertion direction using this eye icon. And click this Add button to draw the outline of the surgical guide. And also on the left side of the screen, we can see this parameter option. So I always recommend doctors to run a few tests before they actually print out the surgical guide, because even with the same parameter settings, some printers might have tighter fitting of the surgical guide, some might have loose outcome. So I always recommend you to run a few tests with different parameters to find the best fit for your surgical guide. So for our setting, the Uris implant setting, the 3.0 for the thickness, and we have 0.075 for the offset from tip to surgical guide. And from sleeve to surgical guide, we have 0.025 millimeters. And let's draw the outline of the surgical guide. Simple left clicks to draw the outline of the surgical guide. And I always try to utilize 4 to 5 teeth anteriorly to support the surgical guide. And click the first dot to finish your drawing. And hit this generate button to generate the surgical guide. And now we have the surgical guide ready. And if you want to adjust the outline, you can simply click and drag these control points. And you can click on this outline to add the control points as well. And hit this generate button again. And now we have the surgical guide. Right, and the next step here is going to be the window and the support bar. So let me show you the surgical guide from the occlusion. So usually the sleeve area is the thinnest part of the surgical guide. So of course, we don't want this surgical guide to be fractured inside the patient's mouth. So I always try to put some support bar around the sleeve area to reinforce the surgical guide. Here. This. And also I'm going to put some window around the sleeve so we can have a space for the torque wrench and the handpiece during the surgery. And one more window at the anterior side of the surgical guide so doctors can check the seating of the surgical guide before surgery as well. And don't forget to hit this generate button. And now we have the surgical guide ready with the support bars and the windows. And if you want to hide those icons, then simply press space bar. And now we have the surgical guide ready. And the last step would be the ID tag. So we're going to put the patient's name on the surgical guide so we would know this guide belongs to which patient when we print out. We can also adjust the size of the font. And we can either engrave it or emboss it. I'm going to put the name tag at the bottom side of the surgical guide and generate the surgical guide. Then now we have the surgical guide with the name tag at the bottom side. All right, and the next step here is going to be the data export. So I'm going to approve this planning, the surgical guide design as well. And now we can export the planning report and the mesh files here. So this planning report will have all the data, like the fixture size and bunch of different cross-sectional view and the offset information as well. And this report also has a screenshot that we have taken during the planning process. Once we export this report, it will be saved as a PDF format. And we can also export the mesh file. And please do not save and export the case, as this option will save the whole planning data, not the export mesh file. So I'm going to click this export mesh file and export and save it on my desktop. And now we have this mesh file ready to be printed. So there it is. So we have the surgical guide ready with the name tag on it at the vocal site. All right, so that is pretty much it from me. So thank you so much for joining me today, and let me know if you have any questions here.
Currently, I have one question. I will just read it off so everybody's aware of it. Dr. Gonzalez asked, if the mobile active Pylon system uses the same surgical kit or the same surgical Pylon kit as yours, and the answer is it uses a different surgical kit. So you may not interchangeably use a yours Pylon kit for mobile active Pylon. And I also have one little bit of an update to the Pylon system if you guys are current URIS users. Now you're able to plan on Pylon and export and then import into your Serif software with these Serif scan posts merged on top of it. So then if you are a URIS user with the Serif machine and you do your own in-house crowns, this might be an interesting update for you. It will be taking effect soon. Yeah. Okay, and then, so before moving on to the Trust software, I wanted to quickly give you an overview of the TruSuite launcher. So as you can see, we've been adding multiple applications. We just finished going over the Pylon for your surgical guides, and we are going to move into the Trust for the custom abutment and crowns. However, these are the 3 additional softwares that you might be interested in checking out for night guards, model builders, and of course the 3D printed dentures. The model builder, keep in mind that this is not for the implant models. And before we go into the Trust, I just wanted to quickly have Joshua explain the workflow of the new product ioConnect.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna go over it. So first, you're gonna scan the ioConnect scan bodies. And when you're scanning the ioConnect scan bodies, we want you to only scan this hex area. That's all you need. So the whole goal of ioConnect is to have less scanning, therefore less stitching for the scan software, and it's gonna be way more accurate that way. So just this is all you need. This scan right here. And after you scan the ioConnect, you still have to scan the soft tissue along with the caps. And once you scan the soft tissue along with the caps and you scan the ioConnect like this, if you just give these 2 files to the designer, they're not going to know what to do with it since there's no merging points together. So it has to go through our software called ioConnect in here. And once you're in there, you can enter the patient info. You can either drag and drop the STL or you can just look for it on your computer. Once you're in here, you're going to select each ioConnect. You have to click the center of the hex over here. And after you select it, you're going to select which size was used. So we have small, medium, and large. And you're going to select the multi-unit type as well. And there's 2 exports. It's the regular HS cap and then the HS cap small. We also added an option to export the MUA cones as well. Once you hit generate, it's going to generate these caps over here. And after you have those 2 files, you're going to import it into either 3Shape or ExoCAD. So the HS cap scan, the soft tissue scan, is going to be the raw preparation scan. And the newly exported ioConnect scan is going to be the scan body scan. And once you're inside 3Shape, you're going to use this feature over here called, I think it's called additional scans. And then you're going to merge them together. Yes, once it's merged, you're going to be able to design the final or the temporary arch with it. And I'm gonna just briefly go over the ExoCAD workflow as well. You just set up the order as a full arch. The concept is the same. Once you bring it in, you just have to merge it together. Yep. Once it's merged, you just use it as the scan body scan, and then you'll be able to design your arch afterwards. Does anybody have any questions in regards to ioConnect?
If you guys are wondering, again, currently there's the Nobel compatible MUA kit as well as the Urus MUA compatible. The Strawman MUA kit will be available in the next coming months.
Okay, I'm gonna be going over trust now. So to open trust, you're gonna press run over here.
Oh, one question.
So Jorge Gonzalez said, so if I understand, the ioConnect is a verification of the scan process. It's not a verification, it's an actual scan. It's gonna be used as a scan body scan. Okay, back to trust. To create a new order, you're gonna click this notepad over here as a new case. And you're gonna enter in anything for the reference number, just so you can find it easily later. And you're gonna select the tooth number. Today, we're gonna do number 19. So why not using the round caps as scan body? Oh, so for scanning an edentulous case, it's very inaccurate to go from one side to the other. So if you try to scan like that, you're not gonna have consistent results. I hope that answered your question.
Maybe give him about 30 seconds, just in case he's replying something. Okay, he's good to go. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez.
So since I selected number 19, oh no, you're fine. I selected number 19. The upper scan is gonna be the antagonist scan. The lower scan is gonna be the scan body scan. And if you have a separate lower without the scan body scan, you're gonna select it in the additional scans. And you have several options to design and trust. You have abutment plus crown, or just a regular custom abutment, or a crown on top of a tie base. For now, selecting the restoration type, either cement or screw type, or the crown material, nothing changes when you select this, but in the future it will. So I'm just gonna hit save and design. Okay, once you're in here, this is the first screen that you're gonna get. A lot of users do this part incorrectly. They'll kind of set it like this. This is the incorrect way of setting it. The top and bottom lines have to go to where the midline would be. So for a scan like this, it would kind of go like this. And the right and left will go through the occlusal plane. So I'm gonna hit apply. This is the scan body alignment stage. So in here, I'm gonna select either TruDS, which is a regular custom abutment, or ASC, which is an ASC abutment. I'm just gonna select ASC for now, just so I can show you guys where to change the screw channel later. And this case is a Urus Omni regular. Once you select it, you're gonna have the scan body library over here. So you have to merge this into the scan. So you're gonna select 3 equal points over here, over here. And just like how Avril did on Pylon, it's best to spread out the points as much as possible. And once you align it, you're gonna get this 2D view over here so you can check how well it aligned. And you can also move this as well. So I'm gonna hit space to go to the next stage. So this is the margin stage over here. Honestly, on this stage, I don't change anything because you're gonna have to be adjusting it later on anyways. So I just hit generate all. And once you hit generate all, you're gonna get a crown over here. So you're gonna go on to the next stage called basic shape. And in here is the crown positioning stage. The tools are same as Pylon. You have the green tool over here where you can click and drag the crown, or you have the red tool over here where you can rotate. And you can also click the crown and move it. So I like to get most of my design in this stage over here. Kind of like that. And once you're satisfied with the position, you're gonna press this button over here called reconnection to margin. And once it's connected, if you wanna move the crown again, if you try to click the crown, you're gonna notice that nothing comes up. What you have to do is click the crown library over here and click the crown model off. So crown library on, crown model off. And then if you click it, you can see you can move it now. And once you move it, you have to press reconnection to margin again. Okay, now it's connected to the margin that was there earlier. I'm gonna go into the free design now. Well, while you're designing, if you press F5, you're gonna see all the hotkeys available. So if I press A, that's for the antagonist. If I press H, it's gonna be the screw pull. And I'm gonna be going over the design tools that we have. First, you have the wax up tool, which is just the add tool. And then you have the wax knife tool, which is just a remove tool. And then you have the smooth tool, which just smooths everything out. And the morph tool, this is a click and drag tool. So you can just click and drag it down if the occlusion's too high. While you're designing, don't worry about this ledge over here on the margin, because if you adjust it right now, you have to adjust it again later. Okay. I'm gonna be giving everybody a 5-minute break, 10-minute break,
Yeah, let's give it a few minutes and see
Mhm.
if anyone
Just
is
this-
lost.
just to have everybody catch up. Does anybody have any questions so far?
We have a question.
Keyboard shortcuts between cut, add, and smooth. If you press F5, this wax is gonna be Z. And then VBN is so V is add, B is remove, N is smooth.
Okay, if there is no more questions, I think we should be able to continue, but because of the shortened breaks, this will not become a full 2-hour session anymore, and I hope you guys are okay with that. So we're gonna continue on with the crown design.
Okay, once you have your crown designed, you're gonna hit space again to go to the next stage. This is the abutment parameter stage. So over here, you're gonna set how you like your custom abutments. I do not like this bevel over here, so I usually set it to 0. Anything over here, you kind of have to play around with. And then once you figure out the settings that you like, you can go to the settings outside of this design, and you can change it to the values and it'll auto load every time. So I'm just gonna go to the next stage. So this is where you would design the custom abutment. In this abutment free design stage, if you press upper over here, and if you selected ASC in the beginning of the order, this is where you would change the screw channel. So you have to be in the free design for the abutment, and you have to be in the upper stage over here. And then if you turn on the screw hole over here, you'll be able to move it. And I'm not going to set it as a ASC for now. So you have various dots over here that you can move around in the abutment upper stage. Just click and drag. If you press Control, it'll click all the points in that area, or not in that area, but yeah. And then you have this arrow tool over here. You can raise the abutment or lower it. And you have these shoulder points over here as well. To design the abutment, I usually start with the margin. And I like to put my working gingiva about like that. And then start designing the custom abutment. So I would kind of move it into shape of the crown. Like that. And then I would put it equal gingiva all around. And once it's equal gingiva, if you use this tool over here, you can move it all down, all the margin points down together. So if I just set it to maybe 0.2 millimeters subgingival, if I just press down, it'll go down that much. If I press up, it'll go up that much. And the lower part is the bottom part of the abutment. It's the same things. You can click and drag. If you press Control, it'll select all the bottom ones together. And then we're going to go on to the next stage. This is the abutment sculpt stage. So this cut tool is I usually use it for anteriors. So let's say if this was an anterior case, I would kind of cut it into an anterior shape. Like that. And then like that. And this whole function is for retention grooves. So if you press plus over here and you set it on the custom abutment, and you can make it bigger or smaller. If you press play, you have a retention groove. And the wax tools is for same thing as the crown, add, remove, or smooth. One thing to note is we protected the shoulder radius over here, so you can't adjust it. But if you turn it off, you can adjust this. The reason we did this is so our split file. So if right now in Trust, you can design the custom abutment and the crown together, and you can mill the crown either in-house, and you can send the custom abutment to us. And then when we send the custom abutment back to you, it'll fit, the custom abutment and the crown will fit perfectly if you don't adjust the shoulder radius. I'm going to go on to the next stage. This is the crown parameter settings. You can't change the cement gap or the extra cement gap right now. Default cement gap for crown, is it adjustable? It is not adjustable right now, the cement gap. So you can't change the cement gap or the extra cement gap right now. And you have all these, you kind of have to play around with all these settings to figure out what you like, but just know that it's here. It moves real time too, from over here. Like horizontal distance, if I moved it, you can see it kind of moving a little bit. So you kind of have to just play around with these settings. And then I'm going to go on to the free design. Okay, so this is the final free design of the crown. So this is where I would kind of adjust this margin area. What I usually do is I usually just add it. And then I'll just smooth it out. The smooth tool is kind of weak, so it does take some time. And once you have the crown, over here is also, this final stage is where I would set the contacts. We have this kind of new feature over here called block undercuts. What this does is it shows the undercut of the insertion direction of the crown. So while the crown is being seated in the patient's mouth, all this area will be caught. So you should smooth all this area out. I would just smooth out just a little bit, or not a little bit, but just enough. And then you can use the adapt function afterwards. The adapt function is this. So if I select this occlusal to 0.2, it's gonna reduce my crown to 0.2 millimeters away from the opposing. Like that. And then if I use this proximal, it's gonna put negative 0.02 millimeters within interproximal contacts. There you go. And once you're finished with the design, you can hit space to go next. And in this stage, this is where you would select either if your crown is gonna have a screw channel or not. Is there a crosscut viewer available? Yes, there is. Anytime you want to check, you can use this icon over here. If you press it, click and click, you get a crosscut view. Okay, and so if you do not want a screw channel on your crown, if you press this button over here, use screw hole, you won't get a screw channel on your crown. You can also make the screw hole bigger if you want. Let me change it to 0.5 so you guys can see. Like that. And once you're done, you're gonna accept the terms and conditions, and you're gonna export mesh files. You have to click this one to get the STLs of the crown and the custom abutment. You have both files over here of the design. Does anyone have any questions?
I had a private message asking if truss can be used for bridges or full arches yet.
Full arches, no. Bridges, it is possible, but I'm gonna be honest, it does take some time to design a bridge.
The goal of the truss software is not to become as much of an A to Z software like 3Shape or ExoCAD, but as you guys can see, it's a much simplified version for you to accomplish just a single unit custom abutment with the crown for split file advantage if you're a TruAbutment user already. Plus, this is dongle free and you don't have to pay any sort of export fee, module fee, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we will leave it at that.
Is there any adjustment of screw access hole up to 8th degree? Generally can still be used without ASC.
So does that mean without selecting the ASC abutment, are you still able to adjust some sort of access channel up to 8 degrees? If I'm understanding that correctly?
You have to select ASC to change the access hole, yeah.
Any angle of the access
Yeah.
channel.
Screw to the next one.
Okay.
Oh no, you can change, I think the minimum is 5 degrees up to
Minimum?
25. You can,
Without selecting the ASC abutment.
oh no, you have to select
Okay,
ASC.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Thanks for all those questions, guys.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions in general regarding any other softwares on TruSuite? Anything we went over, Pylon, on Trust, ioConnect, we're here for you guys.
Oh, let me just show. If you guys are ever designing or have any issues with TruSuite, you can go to this support tab over here and click this need help button, and then you would put in a support ticket.
If you guys are not familiar with the TruAbutment's Angular discrete channel abutments, we also provide a complementary ratchet driver, and that's been the case with every single abutment for the past 3 years. But recently, we have added an option for you to select a complementary latch, more like a handpiece driver if you prefer. The way you can start receiving this offer is for you to change your main profile on the customer portal. So there's now going to be an option for you to select, okay, send me an ASC ratchet driver versus latch driver with every order of yours. So it's a new piece of benefit that you can take advantage of. If there's no other questions regarding anything that we covered today, we are going to close out the session for the day. And like I said, you can access this recorded version on truedigitalacademy.com under the recorded lectures in near future. And we will go ahead and close out the chat room soon. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Have a great weekend.